I'm here to talk about the basic knowledge you need to know about recursion for computer science. I will be presenting recursion to you in the order of basic knowledge on recursion being first, the second is factorial and Fibonacci sequence, the third one is a sample problem based on recursion, and 2 multiple choice questions to test your knowledge on recursion. So what is recursion? Recursion is a function that calls itself repeatedly to perform a certain action wanted by the user, such as Fibonacci sequence and factorial. How does recursion work? A recursion is require a method to work, and the method needs to have a return and take a value from the user or from the method. And the method will run till a certain condition is met. And after the condition is met, the method will start returning the value to get the result wanted by the user. So how to create a recursion function? So a recursion requires a method to work. As mentioned earlier, a method is needed to be created for a function to work. The method will require 2 variables, a return variable and parameter. At the bottom, you see an example image of what type of data you need to input for the method to work. First, you need to start with a public and set the return data type, and then the name of the method, and then the parameter data type and the parameter variable name. And then in the middle, you type the function you want to go, and like when does the function will end, when the method will end, and then return the variable name for it to continue to call itself to perform a certain task. Example, you can see a bottom left corner. You can see n factorial is equal to n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 and keep continuing. And 2 factorial is equal to 2 times 1 equal to 2. That's how much 2 factorial is equal to. 3 factorial is equal to 3 times the sum product of 2 factorial. And you keep going like that. And I'll show you how to use recursion for that. So before we go into programming and coding program for recursion, we'll talk about the terms for recursion. So a base case is the condition or case that the recursion function will end at. For example, when 0 is reached for the factorial function, the recursion function will start to return all value, starting from 1. Dynamic programming is a breakdown of complex function into simple sub-function, such as n factorial can be equal to n minus 1 factorial. And memoization is a method that stores previous function call to speed up the calculation. For example, n factorial is equal to n times n minus 1 factorial, right? And then the n minus 1 factorial can be equal to n minus 1 times n minus 2 factorial, and continue like this. So factorial code. It works with integer, so it returns an integer. And this parameter will run till the parameter 1 is reached. And if n is not equal to 0, it will call itself and multiply the product of the n minus 1 factorial and continue this to an n. To give you a better idea to see how recursion works with factorial, I'll show you with this diagram. So if the user input 4, the method will return 4 times factorial 4 minus 1, which will call the method itself, which have a parameter of 3, and the method will return 3 times factorial of 3 minus 1, which will call the method itself again, which will have a parameter of 2. So the method will return 2 times factorial 2 minus 1, which will call the method again and go to parameter of 1. And because this is 1, it will return 1. So now it reached the end of calling itself. So now it will start to return the value. So the second, last one will have will return 2 times 1. And the 2 will be returned to the second method, which will return 3 times 2. And now the product of the second function will return to the first function, which will return 4 times 6, which is equal to 24. And 4 factorial is equal to 24. So this is how the recursion for factorial works. So now we have finished looking at the factorial recursion. Now we'll look at Fibonacci sequence for recursion and this sample problem. So how to write a recursion method for Fibonacci sequence. A Fibonacci is similar to factorial, but it's different. Fibonacci is the sum of the previous 2 Fibonacci number. So for example, you can see from the diagram, the third number is 2, right? And the 2 numbers behind is 1 and 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And for the fourth one, it's 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. And they keep going like this. This is what Fibonacci sequence is. And the solution for it will be shown in the next slide. So this is how the code for Fibonacci will work. So we'll return an integer. And it will have a parameter of integer of n. and it will meet a condition of if n is smaller or equal to 1, it will start to return n is equal to 1. If not, it will return n is equal to n plus Fibonacci of n minus 1. And you'll continue this till it reaches the end. So now that's all the basic information you know about recursion. So now we talk about the questions I have for you about recursion. So one important question, what is recursion? You can either pause the video right now to think about it or just continue to see the answer. So recursion is a function that calls itself repeatedly to perform a certain action wanted by the user. If you have got the answer right, congratulations. If not, you could watch the video again. Question 2. What does base case mean? You can either pause the video right now to think about it or rewatch the video. So a base case is a condition or a case that the recursion function will end at. For example, when factorial reaches 1, it will return 1 and it will continue that. And that is a base case. And this is the end of the recursion video. Thank you for watching.